Um, I'm RJ Gugtas from BS Cream Tracy, and I'm here to recite the handwriting and handprinting examination. Handwriting and handprinting examination have 12 different kinds. First is the redim line. Redim line quality skills. Does the question write have a skillfully, skillfully free following appearance? First is smooth free following. Smooth free following is like this. That was the smooth free following. And second one is the shaky, nervous, shaky nervous wavering. And the last is deliberate. And we move on to the second one, the regulates the irregularities. Irregularities does the question writing have an awkward unirator softly and apparently. The the irregular the irregularities have three different kinds. First one is the evidence of practicing and or retouching. That is the evidence and practicing. Second one is evidence of region marks made by the writing instrument. And the third one is the broken broken connections broken connection stroker. And we move on to the third one. The third one is the size and size and proportion. Size and proportion. What is the light of the overall writing? The individuals, strokers, and the proportion of each other. Size and proportion have four different kinds. First one is the high and overall writing. The second one is the height of the height of the height of the short and letters of the proportion to the tallest letter. The third one is evidence of the strokers. And the last one is the narrow and proportion of height. And we move on to the fourth one. The fourth one is alignment to baseline. What is alignment access to a road or imaginary baseline? Straight, edgely or low or rolls or roller measurement should be made. First one is straight baseline pattern. The second one is the letter word stroker. The letter stroker leave the baseline. The third one is the word stroker leave to the baseline. The fourth one is the concave baseline. Saan examples? And we move on to the next, the spacing. Spacing. What are the spacing contained within the question writing? A check of space between letter or words, lines, and any other margins and paragraph. Indentation should be made. First one is the left margin even. And the second one is the left margin. And the third one is the angle of the left margin. And the fourth one is the angle on the right margin. And next is space between the capital letter and the small letter. Numbers, and let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is degree and slant. Degree and slant is consistent in the comparison of the question, and no writing proclamator measured in may be made. They have two different kinds. The right hand slant. This is the right hand slant. And the second is the left hand slant. And we move on to the next, the pin pressure. Pin pressure weight. The pin pressure weight is the general weight this strokers and the writing. In the addition, what amount of pressure was used in making the strokers. the detailed measurements of the examination with the scopers with reflected transmitted light should be made. First one is the light pressure. And the second one is the heavy pressure. And the third one is the maximum pressure. And we move on to the next, the placement and diacritics. Now, diacritics. Diacritics is the bars, the T bars crossed to the I dots dotted in the other punctuation mark a field. First one is the T bar light crossing. T bar light crossing. That is a T bar light crossing. The next one is T bar heavy crossing. Next is T bar short in proportion and stream. And the next is T bar long and proportion in string is in steam. And the next one is the T bar location on the steam. Next one is the T bar left of the steam. And the next is T bar right of the steam. Next is T bar convex sharp. Next is T bar concave sharp. Next is T bar page. Next T bar the next is T bar increase become heavier. And next is T bar slant and relation of the baseline. Next is T bar slant and relation to the baseline. Next is T-bar trade. T-bar trade around the stem. Next is T-bar uncrossed. Next is I dots perm heavy dot. Second is the I dot function above the stem. The second one is the I dot left of stem. Next is the I dot right of the stem. Next is the I dot circle formation. Next is the I dot jab. Next is I dot macing. I dot macing. And we move on to the next, the strokes formation. Does the question right to the contain sharp? Needle likes the stroke formation with sharp flat top strokes or the combination of any or all the strokes. In an examination of common letters such as the MS, the NS, the PS, the SS, and reveal stroke formation sharp. First one is the needle sharp. Second one is the wave sharp. Third one is the curved mounted sharp. Last is the flat square sharp. And let's move on to the next, the loop formation. Loop formation made and what are their relationship to the other stroke in the writing? The loop formation have two different kinds. The long loop formation. And the other one is short loop formation. The other is board loop formation. The other one is narrow loop formation. Next is needle sharp loop. And next is wide sharp loop. Next is rounded loop. And we move on to the next. The circle formation. Circle formation have 5 different kinds. The open, close, broad, narrow, and filled. The open is like this. And the close is this. The broad is like this. And the narrow is and the filled is like this. That's the circle formation. And the last is beginning and ending strokes. There are 2 different kinds, the hooked and flourished. There are many types of the beginning and ending stroke. First one is hook. That is the first one. And the second one is flourish. Ito. Flourished. Embellished. The third one is the inflexible strength upstroke. And the next is flexible curve upstroke. Next is ano to? Location on the stop. Location on the stop. Next is the above the baseline location. And we move on to the different structures of letter design. From each individual has his own concept of constructing the letters of the alphabet. Therefore, there is a need for a defined procedure to handwrite, analyze. Without a practical approach of analysis, many individual characteristic in handwrite may be overlooked. From those who have occasion to examine handwrite within the limits period of time, such as signature, verifies, and blanks, and the student of question documents, the following scheme of analyze may be held. First one is the examination of a small letter A. Examine of the overall of each letter and notes carefully any point note carefully any point in the circumstances when there are deviation of the absolute symmetry A and G, any bulge, flaps, angles, or tremor, though there always should show at one particular point. That is the first one. The second one is the note and direction of major axis of HO oval. Next is each overall completely closed in this upper aspect, or it's there a general tendency to leave a tiny gap. The next one is the consider each oval as a clock face. Clock face is the overall close at 11, 12, or 1 o'clock. Next is the closing stroke. Closing stroke rather than on the upper portion of the oval, or it is the curve of the letter high leaving a tiny pip, or Trosin overlap make a minute X. Next is intent upstroke present. Next is there are an eyelet formed where the entire upstroke meets the oval. Next is there are eyelet forward in the process reciting the right bend aspect of the oval and downward direction. Next is at what point that at what point the downward retracing line lead below or above the baseline. Next one is to the weight and terminal upstroke carried and what angle. Next one is if there is no terminal upstroke, how is the letter finished? Examination of the small letter B. Is there an initial upstroke or a bread of sour dust in comments in the relation to the baseline? What angle does it mix with the letter? Is there stroke right, convex, concave to the right, to the initial loop? Are all loops symmetrical? Letter C. Are there blind loops? Letter D. Which side of the loop show maximum curvature? Letter E. Is there stop straight of the vowel? Letter F is the throat of symmatical examine post in the lowest position of to the relation of the baseline. Letter G. In a completing through how the light is the upstroke carried, examine this in the relationship or in the relation to the overall height of the letter and the light of the loop, like this. And we move on to the next, the examination of small letter C. Is there an initial upstroke? Is there an initial upstroke? Does the initial upstroke cut across the downward portion of the main curves of the letter, like this? Does the main curve start with a tick point of or the eyelet? Note the position of the lowest portion in the main curves in the relation to the baseline.